Good morning, everyone. It's Jenn from McCreath. Saturday, December, what is it, the 3rd today? Gotta get the coffee going here. So I live way out on an island in eastern Canada. So our time zone is quite a bit different from mainland United States and Canada. So that means that a lot of these sporting events come on way too late. And one of them was the one last night, the Pac-12 title game. So I watched the first quarter and USC was up 14-3, and so I went to bed. Then I woke up and went straight to the computer to see what happened. I'm like, oh, Utah won. Good for them, I guess. But we have a very strange situation now where this judging committee decides which 4 teams go to the playoffs. And as of right now, they've ranked Georgia, Michigan, Texas Christian 1, 2, 3, because they're the undefeated teams left, which is fine. Southern Cal was 4, but they just lost this extra game that they had to play last night. 2 losses, both against Utah, a team ranked below them. So I find it hard to believe that Southern Cal will hang on to that 4th playoff spot. Number 5, Ohio State, 11-1. No conference title game to play. So they have absolutely no risk of losing again until, well, if they get into the playoffs. So by default, Ohio State is now the 4th team, I would think. Unless you're going to take a 2-loss team and bump them up above them. The only 2... Are there any 2-loss teams playing conference title games today? I don't think there is. Clemson maybe. Clemson's got 2 losses. If they win tonight, they go 11-2. Do they bump Ohio State? Probably not. So instead of getting rewarded for winning a conference title game, you can be penalized. And how about this? Georgia, Michigan, Texas Christian can all lose today. And they will all still get into the playoffs. If they all lose, you're going to have 4 teams with 1 loss. And you're going to have several teams with 2 and 3 losses. You're going to have some conference champions that have 3, 4, maybe even 5 losses. So you're probably not going to put them into the playoffs. With all due respect, Purdue beating Michigan would be amazing. But you don't put a 9-4 team into these playoffs, even if you beat Michigan. So Purdue, I mean, these games, I'm contradicting what I said earlier because I love the concept of geography and geographic rivals, but there's really, these are essentially meaningless exhibition games. The only thing that will really be decided is the seeding, because we already know Georgia, Michigan, Texas Christian, and Ohio State are going to the playoffs. Now, let's say the only issue here is who gets the number 1, 2, and 2 seeds. If they all win, the rankings will stay Georgia, Michigan, TCU, Ohio State. Somebody loses, then they'll probably drop down to the 3 or 4. So if Georgia loses, then maybe Michigan and TCU get 1 and 2. Georgia, Ohio State 3 and 4. There were some talks last week that a 2-loss LSU SEC champ could make the playoffs, but now they got 3 losses. So even if LSU beats Georgia, 10-3 is probably not going to get you into the playoffs. Besides, we got a lot of really good idle 2-loss teams as well. Tennessee, Alabama, Penn State, Washington not playing today. So there's no risk of them finding a 3rd loss. I just think we need to find a better solution. I'd rather see the championship decided on the field instead of by judges picking the top 4 that they see. 4 playoff spots is awkward when you have 5 so-called power conferences. I'd like to see the best team from each conference get in. However, I understand And then, so here's what I'm proposing. Of course, I'm not just complaining. Conference title games, do we really need them? These conferences, they essentially play round robins. And it's the way they used to award conference titles. Whoever wins the most regular season games within their conference should automatically be declared conference champion. How about that? Georgia, Michigan, TCU, 12-0 overall. So that means they're what, 8-0 in their conference, 9-0 in their conference, I guess, for TCU and Michigan. Purdue, who else are we talking about here? Kansas State, LSU, do they really deserve to win their conference when they've had all these losses? I just don't. I'd rather see extra playoff games instead of silly conference title games with teams that don't really belong there, simply because of geography. I mean, Michigan, Ohio State was the game for that conference, not just that division, because whoever won that game is probably, as we said, it doesn't matter if it's going to be Purdue, Wisconsin, Minnesota. So let's do away with conference title games. Why not? Instead, we're going to expand the playoffs to 8. I know that they're looking at 12, which is fine. Give the top 4 seeds a bye. Then you have 5 through 12 play qualifying games in. But if you take the Power 5 conference winners based on regular season records, you're probably going to have, at the very least, 3 out of the top 5 ranked teams. And then you're going to have 3 wild cards, and you're going to include a group of 5 team in the playoffs every year. Again, based on regular season records. So you're going to have Georgia, Michigan, TCU, Southern Cal, and Clemson. The 5 best teams out of each conference based on conference records. And then we're going to take the top ranked, I guess you got to go to the judges, Tulane, Troy, South Alabama, San Antonio, all really good 2-loss teams. Cincinnati, Boise, Central Florida. And again, maybe we just look at, see, that's where the out-of-conference games matter. Cincinnati, to me, the AAC is a power conference, even though they're not recognizing it. Cincinnati went undefeated last year and made the playoffs, but they also, in the process, beat up on 2 Big Ten teams that were pretty good. Who do I got ranked? Tulane. If I had to pick one team right now from the group of 5 to put in the playoffs, I would go with Tulane. So you can still rank teams. And you put them in the playoffs. Okay, well, Georgia 1, Michigan 2. Then like they do in tennis, we're not going to automatically seed 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're going to pull names out of a hat. 3 and 4 will be pulled out of a hat. So Georgia could potentially play the 4th seed, or they could play the 3rd seed. And then 5, 6, 7, 8 will come out of a hat too. So if you're the 1 seed, you could end up playing 5, 6, 7, or 8. With the idea that you'll, at the very least, you're going to end up with the top 2 in the finals. But that way, based on my rankings, I got Georgia 1, Michigan 2, TCU 3, Southern Cal 4. This is before last night's game. Ohio State 5, Bama 6, Tennessee 7, Washington 8. So take out Washington and put in Tulane. Sorry, boys, but everyone's saying that these SEC teams with 2 losses are really good, and some of them are probably better than some of these 1-loss teams. So there's a chance. If you have Georgia versus Tulane, let's say, you're going to have Michigan against Tennessee, TCU against Alabama, Southern Cal against Ohio State. There. Those are 4 amazing, potentially interesting quarterfinal games, which I would much rather, I'd be more interested to see those games as quarterfinal playoff games than any of these meaningless conference title games. And do that. I mean, and if other teams want to play an exhibition game, bowls sometimes suck because teams have had a month off. Why not extend the regular season? Play a 13th game on the first Saturday in December. Why not? And here's your chance to add an additional out-of-conference game, which is an important element in judging. Well, which conference is really better? Is the SEC really better than everyone else? Well, we don't have a huge sample size. But SEC teams do play 4 games against other out-of-conference teams. What if we added a 5th game? Okay, teams ranked below the threshold for playoffs. Why not throw in a bonus game? Okay. Oregon State, who do you want to play? Pick a team, I don't know, out of a hat. You got 3 losses, let's play someone else who's got 3 losses. North Carolina, why not? How about we book LSU and Oregon? 4 losses. How about Notre Dame? They're not even in a conference. They're 8-4. They had a tough schedule. They're a good team. How about we throw Notre Dame in there with Ole Miss? There you go. That'd be an interesting game. What else? Duke. 8-4. Duke against Minnesota. There you go. How about Pittsburgh and Purdue? Texas and South Carolina. I mean, these would be fun. A lot of these bowl games are stupid because you match teams up that are just... I don't know how this conference tie-in thing works, but to me it's designed to penalize group of 5 teams. Group of 5 teams who are really good will get matched up against like a 6-6 team. So if they beat them, no big deal type of thing, rather than let's have a meaningful game here. I don't know. Does this make any sense? Probably not, but I guess I'm just feeling disappointed that the lead up to these conference title games, I mean, last week's rivalry week was amazing. We had a lot of great games. We had a lot of upsets. At the same time, coming into this Saturday, I'm like, I'm not really sure I want to watch these games because they mean absolutely nothing. So yeah, or maybe you still have these games as have your conference games, but still expand the playoff. So next weekend, instead of just Army-Navy having their game, throw in the quarterfinal games then, maybe. Just a thought. Why not? What do you think, folks?